We gotta talk Oscars. What I found so remarkable in the book, the way you take us inside that room. You know, you and Will had been separated for quite a while.
Yeah.
And you were kind of surprised that he invited you to go to the Oscars.
Yeah, we were, at that particular point in time, we were in therapeutic spaces because he had just finished the movie where he played a slave. And a lot of stuff came up for him. And so he was like, you know, will you get back into therapy with me? And I said, absolutely. And we started doing some really, really deep work. And then he got nominated, right? And he was like, you know what, there's nobody I would rather spend, you know, share this moment with. Will you share this moment with me? So I said, yeah. But it wasn't a guarantee, you know. I didn't, It wasn't a guarantee. But I was happy because I was like, of course I want to share that moment with you. So we decided to go together.
And so from your vantage point, and I think from so many people's vantage points, when I read the way you saw it, that was the way we saw it here in the studio.
You thought it was a bit. You thought it was like a prank, right?
Yeah, exactly. Will had been going back and forth backstage.
Because people, during commercial, everybody gets up and talks and you go move
he
around.
was going back and forth, and I was like, oh. When I saw him get up, I was like, oh, did he and Chris decide to do this bit together? And then he goes up, and the whole thing happens. And it looked like Chris slipped the shot. And so I was like, oh, this is definitely a bit, because I've seen Will
It wasn't a great bit. It wasn't really a great bit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I've seen Will knock out professional fighters.
Sure.
Will is a heavy hitter.
Yeah, right.
And so Chris was still standing. There was no blood, there was no swelling, what have you. And I was like, oh, this is a bit. This is a strange bit, but okay.
Right.
He turns around and he comes back. As he's coming back, I'm going, something's off. Something's not right. He sits down, and I just look at him. I'm like, are you okay? And it continues to go. And it wasn't until his publicist came out and said, you know, Chris has left the building, he's not going to press charges. And I said, well, what would he press charges for? And she said, well, Will hit him. And I was like, you hit Chris? And I was like, all right, well, we're in this together now. I didn't come in here as your wife, but I'm leaving as your wife, because we're going to have to get through this together.
It's something we believe in, marriage counseling. We've done it. We believe in therapy. Is that something that you guys did as well?
You know what? We had to start individually. We had to start individually, right? Because really, at the end of the day, I had to learn how to focus on me, right? And I had to learn to focus on what am I bringing to this dynamic. I found that in marriage counseling, for me, sometimes, trying to figure out, you know, what your partner's doing and, you know, all this back and forth. It's like, let me figure out what I'm doing first. Then we can sit down together and we can come with what our dynamic is that we're bringing to this marriage and try to fix that, right? Because the only thing I can change is me. So I have to have the willingness to change me. And Will had the willingness to change himself.